Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is Brother Malak from the 12 Tribes United congregation located in Bronx, New York. I'm live streaming. Well, I'm not live streaming, but I'm recording from my home out in Harlem, New York. Now, we have a holiday, so-called holiday, coming up. We call it Christmas. All right? Let's see if that's in the Bible, and let's see if that's righteous to celebrate. I want you to go with me to Jeremiah, the 10th chapter. Go to Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, and we're going to see something in the Bible. Is Christmas in the Bible? All right. Jeremiah. Matter of fact, let's read 10 and 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. So this was Jeremiah the prophet telling our people, hear ye the word of the Lord. All right. Because just because a man's a prophet doesn't mean it's him speaking. It's the Most High speaking. Thus saith the Lord. So this is the Most High. Learn not the way of the heathen. So what does the scripture tell us? Not to learn the way of the heathen, meaning the other nations that don't have the Most High. We're not to learn those ways. We're not to follow their customs in any fashion or form. It says, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. So what is the signs of heaven? It's talking about the sun, moon, and stars. Here it is, you got people looking at these stars and the moon and the so-called planets, and they worship it. They go crazy for all of that astrology, astronomy, and all that. Well, the heathen are dismayed at them, meaning the other nations are dismayed at the signs of heaven. All right. Here it is, they worship the sun, worship the stars, worship the moon. They have different names for it. Then you go to a different nation, they take the same God, they change around the image a little bit, and then they call it a different name in their language and their culture. A lot of these gods from the other nations, they keep getting, their names keep getting changed. They keep changing somewhat the color of the god and the way the god looks, and we're not to be dismayed at that. Yes, the Most High made sun, moon, and stars. He made it on the fourth day. It says so in the book of Genesis. But for us to go and start worshiping the sun, moon, and the stars, meaning the creation, more than the creator, is not something we're supposed to get involved in. All right? We're supposed to worship the creator, meaning the Most High, not the stars and the moon and so forth and so on. All right? I don't have to say the names of these gods, because the scripture tells us not to make mention of the names of other gods. But they've made these the heavens, the sun, moon, and stars. They made them into their deities, the other nations. And we're not to take part of that. Jeremiah 10 and 3. For the custom of the people are vain. So these are vain customs. For one cutteth a tree out the forest. So you may see the part cut a tree. What law is that breaking? They just took a tree and just cut it, right? And basically by you cutting the tree, you basically just killed it. Basically. All right? Because it's not in the ground. It's not rooted anymore. So they cut a tree out of the forest. The work of the hand of the workman with the axe. So they cut the tree and they used an axe. They worked and they cut the tree out. It doesn't sound bad, does it? Let's read on. They deck it with silver and with gold. So now they take this tree and they put silver and gold on it. They fasten it with nails and with the hammers that it move not. So they take the tree out of the forest and they put gold around it and put silver around it. Then they take it somewhere and they stamp it back in the ground. They stamp it. They put it. They fasten it with hammers and nails. Okay. So now, let me ask any brothers and sisters. Does this sound familiar? Tree, gold and silver with nails. Does this sound familiar to anyone? This is your origin of so-called Christmas. Now, if Christmas was the birthday of Christ, Why is it in the book of Jeremiah, way before Christ was born, before Christ came in the flesh? Why is that there? It shows you that what? This is a heathen custom, and it has nothing to do with Christ. All right? This custom goes back to Nimrod. December 25th is the birthday of Nimrod. All right? A Cushite, the one who built the Tower of Babel. All right? There's images on the wall in ancient Babylon, Nineveh, and places like that still got that image of Nimrod. It shows him with a Christmas tree and with a reindeer sometimes in his other hand. So this custom of Christmas is not what you call Christmas. It's not dealing with the birthday of Christ. All right? It has nothing to do with it. So it's in the Bible, but it's under a heathen custom. So the Christmas is really the birthday of Nimrod, celebrating the false god, Nimrod, because they put him up as a god when he died. All right? And when Nimrod died, they put presents under the tree. When Nimrod died, his mother put a tree in the ground over his place where he was buried. And she said, if you don't put gifts under that tree, Nimrod's going to come out and kill you. So this is an unholy custom. It's a custom of the other nations. All right, it goes back to ancient Babylon. Ancient Babylon today would be known as Iraq. All right, the land of Iraq had many names: Sumer, Akkad, Babylon, Assyria, and that was called Iraq. Ur of the Chaldees, all the same land, which is today known as Iraq. That's a historical place over there. If you go to Iraq, you see all type of ruins from different time periods. People ruled, different nations ruled over there. All right, so the name that used to be for Christmas was Saturnalia. Look it up. All right, I don't believe in showing all these different images. All right, look under Nimrod, the Christmas tree. All right, back then the tree was small, and it showed like Nimrod having a little tree in his hand and a little reindeer on his shoulder or under his arm. So all this goes back to Nimrod. All right, Christ wasn't born on December 25th. There's no scripture to substantiate that. It does show that Christmas, so-called Christmas, is in the Bible, but it's not called Christmas or the birth of Christ. It was called Saturnalia. Let's also go back. We go back 200 years ago, and we go back to the 1800s, like the middle of the 1800s. Before that time period, it was illegal in the United States to celebrate what you call today as Christmas. Look it up. All right, so we have the Feast of Dedication coming up, so-called Hanukkah. All right, so we have our high holy days, and this goes for 8 days. So-called Christmas goes for 1 day. This year, they're celebrating Christmas for 3 days. So-called Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then they're celebrating it on Monday, December 26th. All right, that's what they're doing this year. All right, so we got to be very careful that we don't follow a heathen custom with a biblical name. Because when the Catholic Church was created, they took biblical names and they started naming idols biblical names. That was a great deception, a great heresy. All right, they put idols in the church that the scriptures tell us not to. When we look at the Catholic Bible, in Exodus 20, it doesn't say thou shalt not have any graven images. They actually took that out of the Catholic Bible because it will cut their doctrine. Worshiping statues of Mary and statues of white Jesus. Then they took on. If you see some of the priests, you'll see them with these robes. They got red robes with a hoodie and look like a bathrobe. Now, if you notice that the warlocks have the same exact robe except it's black. All right, they took all the pagan customs. They took witchcraft and everything to create the Roman Catholic Church. And what they do, changed it around a little, gave it some Christian names, Christmas and so forth and so on. All right. Just like what you call the Star of David. That was always an idol. That was Molech, the Star of Molech, Chichen. What they do, Catholic churches did the same thing. Took that 6-pointed star and, called it the shield, the Star of David. All right. Then the Jews adopted it. But that star, 6 point, all throughout history, that 6 pointed star was always a pagan image. Every nation had that. But now you got brothers running around talking about the shield of David, not knowing the origins. They'll sit there and argue with you and tell you the origin of Christmas, but they don't realize that the old Christmas tree had the 6 pointed star on it. You still see a star on the Christmas tree, but the old image had the 6 point. All right, goes back to Nimrod also. All right, we cannot pick and choose what we want to follow. All right. Now, let's go to Exodus 20. We got to be careful, very careful that we don't, be following an idol. Here it is. You think you're following the Bible, and you're actually following an idol. Exodus 22:20. He that sacrifices unto any god. So right here you see Exodus 22:20. So he that sacrifices unto any god is in lowercase g, which means it's not talking about the Most High. It's talking about something else. Another god, false god. Save unto the Lord only, meaning if you sacrifice to any other god except the Most High, he shall be utterly destroyed. So what's going to happen to that person is they're going to be destroyed. All right, they committed a sin worthy of death. You can't sacrifice for that. All right, and say, oh, Lord, forgive me. Now, if you did it in the world in ignorance, the Most High will forgive you. If you did it in ignorance, a lot of us celebrated this so-called Christmas. And when we ate the food, we were sacrificing to Nimrod, not knowing. All right, but if you do this in this truth now, knowing this knowledge, the Most High says you're going to be destroyed. All right, so I'm going to say shalom, brothers and sisters. This is Brother Malak from the 12 Tribes United. Today we'll be having Sabbath class at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time to 5 p.m. when the Sabbath ends. It's the winter time, so the Sabbath ends around that time period. All right. Be strong, brothers and sisters. We're the brothers from 12 Tribes United. Just give me a call for any questions. 347-465-1305. Shalom. Shalom.